Welcome to The Divine Mess, a sanctuary where the dance of the empowered masculine and the divine feminine unfolds in all its glory. Join us as we delve into the heart of these cosmic energies, exploring their attributes and the profound impact they have on our lives. From the raw power of the masculine to the nurturing embrace of the feminine, we uncover the balance that leads to a life of abundance and joy. Our hosts, Curti Deva Perriman and Tina Ryan, are your guides on this spiritual journey who blend science with soul to offer practical wisdom for harnessing your divine energy. We celebrate the beauty and imperfection, embracing the chaos of life's journey as a catalyst for growth. The Divine Mess isn't just a podcast, it's a movement towards wholeness and self-expression. So come laugh with us, cry with us, and grow with us. Every episode is an invitation to explore the depths of your being and to live out loud, authentically, and unapologetically. Subscribe and join our community of seekers as we support each other in this extraordinary, messy adventure we call life. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be joining us. Welcome to another episode of The Divine Mess. If this is the first time that you are tuning in on this bright Saturday morning, my name is Tina Marie and I help women move out of stages of life that they don't really love anymore and move into ones that turn them on, light them up and excite the hell out of them. And as always, I am joined by my very gorgeous co-host, Mauritius born, if I can get it out, French speaking, New Zealand living, ocean loving, cosmic alchemist. Believe it or not, the man has many titles, but he's a gorgeous human and a delightful soul. Overall, he's the owner of the Golden Temple and he helps transmute fear into love. Yay! So I will hand it over to him and he can do a further introduction if he feels it necessary, and then we'll introduce our divine guest who is on our virtual couch this morning. So over to you, Sunshine.
Yeah, for people who was not saying that, I was shaking my head no, and Tina typically ignored me as usual, just like she ignored my reels that I have been sending her over the week.
I did
Because
not,
we are
because I just
back in
sold you a
the
dozen.
So yes, that's what we are into on the Divine Mess. If it's your first time, we normally have this fun conversation, and this year we have been opening up our doors to like lovely guests, and we're always in divine timing. It always happens in divine timing. What message we feel that both of us need to hear that week on that day. It's just happened to come through those lovely guests. And today we have a lovely lady called Lisann. I'm just trying to pronounce her name because I've been practicing it, but I can do it in French. And her last name is, see, it's Valentin. Did I say it right? I can say it Valentin. See, it sounds better. It sounds like way better. So welcome, Lisann, to our show, to our divan couch. Sorry for that, yeah, Frenchy introduction. We are so blessed to have you. I will leave the couch to you so that you can introduce yourself while Tina is having a blast at me. Yeah.
Oui, merci beaucoup. Je ne parle pas français. But my name is Lisann Valentin, and I'm an actor, author, and spiritual coach. I help multi-passionate people like yourselves, like myself, pivot into their purpose. And I'm so happy to be here today. And it's just pronounced Lisann Valentin, but you can pronounce it Lisann Valentin. Valentin, that's what it was. Yeah. It sounds cool.
Yeah, didn't mean to offend you in any way. Maybe in
You
French it sounds.
didn't. You didn't.
Maybe in French it will sound offending. I don't know, but that's how it is. So welcome to the Divine Mess. Can you tell us a bit, because we did have a conversation before, and it was such a beautiful, introduction to your world. Me and Tina, we really hold back on the question because we wanted to press record that day itself because it was so beautiful, your energy. So can you share a bit about your journey just to start off and tell us a bit, just briefly, how you navigate through your divine mess?
Oh gosh. Okay. I wish I could remember our conversation because I felt like we were just so in it. Like, I don't even know what we talked about. Um, well, I feel like I've pivoted a lot in my life, and I think about divine masses, it usually has a lot of pirouetting in between, like moving through phases until you find like the thing that lights you up the most. And so I went from being thinking that what I wanted to be growing up as an attorney, did that. Then realized that was not the thing I wanted to do. Became an actor so I could be a better lawyer, is what I told myself. While listening to my intuition and intuitive hits along the way, and found a passion for storytelling in that medium. And while I wrote about that journey and how my spiritual life led me from lawyer to actor, I finally embraced the vibrant spiritual life that runs through my DNA, spiritually and physically, as a fifth generation shaman, and became a certified spiritual coach, which was not the thing that I had on my radar at all. And now I just merge all of my gifts in the way I show up in the world. So no more compartmentalization, no more walking on the line, no more hustle culture, just being very aware of when those things come up. And because I can do that for me, interestingly enough, the universe has me doing that with other people on their journeys. And so that's sort of the short part of it, but we can dig into whatever part sounds yummy to you.
We keep staring at each other, wondering, he's giving me the eyes. It's like going, come on. I would just, I have visions of what's that show with, there's the three lawyers that the princess was in. What's her name? Oh God.
Suits.
Suits. Yes. So I have a vision of you in something like that.
Yeah, I was in litigation.
And
so
then
yeah.
kind of holding people and going, I've got a message for you. So being all decked out in the legal suit and going, the universe has bigger plans
Yes.
for you.
Yes.
You need to stay with this human. No divorce for you. I'm so sorry. Can't do it.
It was a dance. Yeah, I mean, so like my human, I'll say things like my human, or like I'm more attuned to like the highest aspect of me that can observe and be the observer. But when I say my human, it's like when I'm in the thick of things and sort of just navigating the mess of it all. And so my human would know I have rights and responsibilities to uphold as an attorney. And then the other aspect is like there's bigger things happening here, right? I'd have to witness why I was in a room, what purpose was it serving, how could I serve? And there was a duality in that because many times what's ethically right is not the same in terms of human ethics or what we feel we need to honor spiritually. There's like those are like three different things happening at once. But did I toe the line? I think so. I remember there was a time, I keep thinking about this one time. We're in Puerto Rico. I was at a deposition and I saw plaintiffs, so I was defense. And there was a lot of lawyers there. And the plaintiff was there with his client, and he was just trying to push this woman who was older. And it was my turn to go up and depose this woman. So before we did that, I was like, listen, she needs a break. I'm witnessing her, I'm feeling her. And this would not serve my interests. So, okay, do not recommend. Attorneys out there are cringing that I would do this. But I was like, she needs a break. I told plaintiff's counsel, he thought I was playing a chess game. Well, what happened? She messed up her part of the deposition with me. And he stopped it in the middle of me deposing her, which is me just asking her questions about her case. Because she was exhausted. She was in her 80s. She was tired. And she wasn't remembering. And it wouldn't have served my client to like give him a heads up. But for me, like my human was like, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but my soul was like, I can feel her. This doesn't feel good to me. We're not gonna keep doing this. We're gonna end this, you know? It did. He stopped and then that was it. We ended the day. I enjoyed the rest of my time in Puerto Rico. Some other attorney came back to depose her. But yeah, so sometimes we make decisions that there was nothing wrong legally that I did. It just wasn't a strategic move, but it ended up serving the highest good, I think, at the end because we did stop and she got to break for the day, you know? And that's like not the most exciting story, but it's the one that pops out when I was like, crap, I can't keep doing this litigation thing because it's tearing me up inside, you know? On the flip side, I still use my legal skills, you know, as someone who has a business, when I support other people and they ask questions about like what they're doing in the world and things come up, I'm able to serve in that way, you know. Not like Suits though. That is a mess. That was a huge mess. Dramatic, like, yeah. Very good show.
Excellent show. But then speaking of that, going on the flip side and going from essentially holding court in a theatrical way to then going and being on the other side of the camera, not in a Judge Judy kind of way, but still in a different sense. How did you find that exploration of self? Like being able to wear different faces and personalities and looks and all of that. Did you find that a comforting thing to be able to stretch yourself into different aspects or try out different facets of your personality through the characters that you played?
Yeah. It was freeing. It was liberating because it wasn't I I would find the one thing that I completely empathize with in that character, regardless of the character, and I would play that note within the symphony of myself. And the authenticity of that, being able to tap in, having like life experience to add to that, helped me really just enjoy being an actor. Um, because acting isn't lying, right? It's not pretending really. It's this is the most authentic part of me within one note of this song. You get to see this one note completely, unabashedly vulnerable. And even though it's cloaked in a character, it is complete truth. And so, being as empathic as I was able to finally use those gifts in a way that was like, oh, I get to just fully express and emote and just like exist in this, like the all of it, in the mess of it fully, because that's what we watch on TV is people falling apart being their full mess. And we're like, oh, I can relate to that because I can't show my mess really on the street, but the actors do. And so that was catharsis. And the same time, the more, I don't want to say evolved, the more I stepped into my gifts as a shaman, the more I showed up in that role, the more challenging I was like putting up more barriers. I was like, okay, I don't mean anything I'm saying. I'm not manifesting this as a reality. I was like trying to like I'm in a horror movie. None of this is real. I do not wish horrible things on anyone, you know, like that dance of like I know I can manifest and at the same time being mindful that I have to play a character. You know, there was that dance too, while also like you know, people don't talk about this. Like shamans are like mediums, essentially. Like so many things are happening at the same time. And it's like I'm talking to the land, I'm talking to like the energy of the people, setting intentions while I'm playing a role. So it got complicated. Like I'm not gonna lie, it got complicated. But I think in those spaces I stepped aside and talked to people and told them, like, it's gonna work out. Let's stop here. Let's hold the rock for a little bit. Let's release it to the earth. Okay, great. Now you can finish putting on my makeup. Like there was a lot more of that.
Just like for me, like the way you're describing your journey, it's just feel like, you know, like you went from legal, which is all about factual evidence, you know, like you just go straight to the facts and it's not really the emotional thought is taken into consideration. But then you move to acting where you have to take up different roles and it's like different aspect of yourselves that you're representing in those roles and you can fully embrace that. And now I feel like you're taking up the role of your life, you know, like that's the best role as a shaman and fully embracing that. And I'm just curious, like you say, yeah, it was not pretty, it was not like a happy journey, but how did you navigate through it like on a daily basis for you? Because we know like people just moving into that role, if I can speak in acting terms, like you're taking that role, because even in acting, you're given a script. And as we know, in spiritual world, like the universe doesn't give you a freaking script. You're not seeing like the big picture. You don't know what's happening sometimes. So how do you navigate through that? How did you start navigating through that, I would say?
I feel like I had a little bit of an advantage because I started meditating when I was 13 years old. But I started talking to God as like my pen pal when I was 8. And so like I was all journaling back and forth when I was 8. And then 13, when I was 13, freshman in high school, a nun taught me how to meditate. And I like journeyed and it was insane and it was awesome. And I was like, I want to do this every day, and I did. And so that really helped me get grounded and stay mindful. Um, and when I noticed myself pushing, we like to push humans. I need to force this outcome. I need to make this happen. It needs to be this way. When I felt that, and I would feel the resistance push back, because that's a very like, I'm trying to push a truck up a hill. When I would just set, like, I know there's something in here for me, I feel it, and just honor that feeling, and then put my hands up and just surrender. I like to give this example for people. Surrender to me is not bowing my head to the ground, it's putting my hands up to the sky. Right? It's like, how much more can I receive? And so I think it was just like a lot of that. Yeah, I would find myself pushing, I would put my hands up. I'm getting tingles everywhere. And so allowing myself to receive in that, and allowing myself to dance in that. But also just being really kind to myself when I found myself pushing again, because it is just like back and forth, back and forth. And if you find yourself in this pivot, whether it's the first one or the 10th one, I think the most basic, stripped down way to look at that is like, what is my soul asking of me right now? What is my soul calling me toward? There's something here that I have to listen to. Put my hands up. Just put my hands up. Then the step appears.
And it's often said like surrender as usual, that word always come up in every our single episode now. It feels like we need to call it divine surrender at one point in time. It feels like that, you know. And like just like you showed, like putting your hands up, it's not like you're giving up. And that's what people sometimes feel. I was reading about that when surrender. Sometimes people say like it's like, oh, am I giving up on the dream? Am I giving up on the job? Am I giving up on that person? When we say surrender that situation to divine. So how would you explain someone surrender? How does it look, or what does it mean? How would you do that?
For me, when I surrender, sometimes I have to close my eyes for this. So sometimes it's like my hands are up, but I'm always waiting to receive. Like if it's a waterfall pouring over, waterfalls, by the way, are like concussive, right? Like they just right. And so, you don't have to be in full waterfall mode, but you can kind of be touching like close enough to the spray. Like that can be how you surrender so you can receive. And that's what I mean by that. Like I can't figure this out. So my hands are up waiting to receive the next step, the next thought, whether it's rest, whether it's action, whether it's connection. A lot of times it's connection. We tend to think that we should do everything by ourselves because it makes us the best possible human in the video game. And it's like, that's how you die really quick in this game. So like, allow yourself to connect and get support. Um, and yeah, so it's waiting for the next step, waiting for the voice, the sign, the synchronicity, the connection. That to me is like the easiest way to say why I go into state of surrender.
Sorry, it's the eyeball game that we have going on here as my delightful friend, because it is a key word in my life. Thank you very much, Lisann, for the gentle universal reminder. And same as your reminder last week, the thank you for showing me who you are. I had the dawning realization on Thursday of this person who is showing me who they are, that I went, oh, this is who I used to be. This is who I used to be. And she's not nice. Well, she's nice. However, she's sweating over stuff that doesn't mean jack really in the big scheme of things. And she's not paying attention to the signs, the illness signs, the stopping, you need a hard time out sign, all of these signs. And I'm like, oh, I get it now. And now since then it's like, oh, this is easy. It's not difficult and it's not challenging. It was just showing me. And it would frustrate the living bejesus out of me. And then once I worked out I was just looking at a younger version of myself, it was simple, so much simpler. And now it's interesting how the energetic state of the relationship changes once you get into that space of going, oh, okay, thanks for showing me that. For whatever reason you needed to remind me of that. Thank you for that. I got it. What's next?
That's big work.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, huge. Oh, the scary control freak that I was. Good Lord above. That's not a person that now I can see you all better. That was definitely not a nice time. I mean, yes, it's like you say, you go through this stage in your life where everything just feels like rolling a big friggin' rock up the hill and it's almost crushing. And you go, I really don't want to be crushed. But in the end, it's just like, I'll just let the damn thing roll over me because I'm so tired with having to continuously push this agenda, this relationship, this friendship, this job, this everything. And when you're doing it on multiple fronts at once, there's only so much the human can kind of encompass and hang on to before the sheer exhaustion sets in. And that's what I'm seeing with this lovely young human, is that she's exhausted. And I just went to her, have you read any of Louise Hay? I just left it at that. And just went, it might be something that you might want to have a read of. And she was like, oh, no, I haven't. I'm much into audiobooks. I said, you can hear your laugh on audiobook. Start there. And it was just like, oh, okay. Fine. Now I know why I'm here. It's okay. I understand why I'm sitting in this space with these lovely, lovely people. And then they work out the other day how connected you can be. We had someone come into the shop and I went, oh yeah, I listened to this and this, and I know this person. And they both looked at me and went, do you know everybody? And I'm like, no, but things have happened in my life for a reason. Like I listened to that podcast and I met that person and I had conversations with this person so that I could have this conversation with this person. And so that he could feel at ease and he could feel comfortable coming in and talking to us. There was a reason. Don't know where the rest of that's going to go, but you know what? It was lovely. And it was nice. And they just sort of stood there like guppies with their mouths open. I'm going, I have been at this game a little bit longer than both of you. Just a fraction. Just a fraction. So it's interesting how, how all those moments in your life, like you're saying, you're going from being an author to a lawyer and a actor and, all of these different things, like in singularity, they make no sense, other than playing the role at that time. But it's not until you sort of step back and look at the entire web of all the connections and why it's coming together. And then you go, oh, okay. Like all the, selling shoes and selling clothes and selling jewelry and working in real estate and doing all of these things, you go, on their own, they make no sense. But once you step back and take a surrendered look at your life and go, oh, okay, now that all begins to make sense. All of these tools that you have collected along the way, not only human tools, but the spiritual tools that you've picked up along the way, they're there to not necessarily be for you, but for you to be a conduit for somebody else to step into their own work. And that's the thing I love about every day. It's a roller coaster ride. Every day it's just like, okay, what's next? Where am I going to next? And I'm sure David can attest to that in, moving countries and starting fresh again and trying new stuff on for size and going, does this sit and fit well? It's nice when you get to, it seems as scary as a buck when you do it, but, it's kind of nice when you understand how the jersey fits, right? I like that bit. You're sitting there grinning at me like a big Cheshire cat, my friend.
I'm just allowing Lisann to intervene because it feels she has so many like spirits coming through her, and she's like, yeah, should I go or not? She's like, should I go or not? And just giving space for us.
That's how it feels, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like I'm being washed. I'm standing under the waterfall and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I feel that the waterfall is coming. Yeah, and we're going to have a go at it. So, yeah.
But that
Lisann.
hands up is what you do in a roller coaster too, right? Like, when you're like, throw your hands up. It's like the ultimate surrender. Like, the thing is moving so fast, you're plummeting, and that's when you throw your hands up, the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Because you know you're gonna be the hill. It's a hill now, the top of the roller coaster. And it's like, you're gonna be fine. At least you're trusting that you're gonna be fine, right? You get to enjoy the ride. It's the ride. It's
Right.
not the destination, it's the ride. And we hear this over and over again, right? It's always the journey, the journey, the journey. And yeah, you see the connections. It's like alignment looks like a honeycomb, right? Like it's all these pieces that fit together just so perfectly. You're like, oh, wow, when you look back. Or maybe you never see it until your last breath and you're just like, ah, I see it. Wow. And you get to say, wow, what a ride. Let's do that again. Because a lot of us have said the same thing. Let's do that again. Even though while we're in it, we're like, maybe I don't want to do this again. Maybe it's a wrap for this level of the game. But yeah, when you think about like we have all these titles, right? Actor, author, recovering attorney, spiritual coach, shaman, whatever. I could be a fifth generation unicorn. It's all the same thing. Like it doesn't matter. That the commonality that I found is that all these roles allow me to witness the human experience. So whether I approach it from an evidence-based or an intuitive pull, when I link them together, that's when you are able to sort of like see a bigger picture. The next step feels clearer because one, I have my logical mind telling me, okay, I can see how that can work, or show me another path, and my intuitive mind is like, I can leap, I can jump. I know this is good. I just know what I feel that it's going to work out. And it's the dance of the two. I think the most beautiful thing is when we show ourselves who we are and we can believe that. When we show ourselves, that's the biggest, like, you won, boom, level complete, move on to the next thing. Like when you can look in the mirror and be like, oh God, I see you for who you are. You're freaking amazing. Look at all you've done. Look at all the roles you've played and how you're doing it. Like if you can even talk to yourself like that, you're so far ahead of the game. If you can just say those things to yourself.
I think sometimes the easiest way to do that is to go back through like your iCloud photos and you look at your life. You look at all the different iterations. I was putting stuff together for my VA last night and like compiling all the photos in groups of things. And I just went, holy shit. Like, look at all the hair colors and the fashion changes, and you watch the evolution and growth of your kids. Like, my babies in the background, they're not babies anymore. They're grown, they're grown people with their own lives and stuff going on. And it's just you also watch the emotional transition and the spiritual transition of the human as well. You can go, oh, I remember when that happened, and oh, I know what happened in this space, and then it's like, oh, I know how I was feeling here, and yep, and I was just about ready to pull the pin, and oh, there I pulled the pin, and this is what it feels like, and just then this, ride a little bit further on, and you go, oh, so I had to go through. It's like the snakes and ladders, right? You wind your way, and then you climb you back up, and then nope, you haven't learned enough, so you're falling back down again, and just you keep going on and on, and but it's also lovely too when you get to express it to other people and go, the more you resist, the longer it lasts, right? The more you hang on and want everything to be the way you want it to be, the longer you're going to sit there, and you essentially in human form, you're going to suffer because you haven't allowed yourself the ability to transform or transmute to the next level of the game. You want to stay at the level that feels amazing and comfortable, and how your human performs in this level, and you've gotten really good at it, right? You can run your 5Ks in 20 minutes, and you can do all the stuff that you need to do, and then it's like injury or, oh, this is boring, I've had enough, but no, I'm really good at it, so I'm going to stay at it. And then it's like, no, now we're going to close off the footpath so you can't run anymore. Oh, but I'm really good at it, so I'll go to the gym and I'll run on a treadmill. Oh, now the treadmills are broken. Now what are you going to do? It's like, I'm asking you to find a new way of being, but you consistently want to wear the same pair of trousers. It's not for you anymore, but you're a little bit of a slow learner. I'm going to keep putting stuff up in the way until you get it. But,
Yeah.
it's
And I feel
interesting to watch that in other people. I just find it fascinating.
I feel it's related to what Marianne Williamson keeps saying, like for me that could still stick in my mind is like we are most afraid of our light, not the darkness. And we are most afraid to take up that role of fully embracing that light, where we are that light being that just, even if we're on a roller coaster going for a waterfall, we are like, yeah, that's all good. I can take it, even if a tsunami is coming your way, there's a tornado on the roller coaster, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to trust even if you're zooming, but you remain that center. At the center, you just have that trust that God is going to take care of it. And when both of you were sharing, it's like, let go, let God. Like Wayne Dyer said, let go and let God, and keep doing that and keep reminding yourself that. And in The Power of Subconscious Mind as well, I saw that Joseph Murphy talk about that. It's like, let go and let God take care of it. And when Lisann was sharing, like earlier, I felt like recently I lost my grandfather. Like it's by the time of recording, it was like 1 month ago. And I had this beautiful experience, like when you're saying like you get to see your life at the end and you get to see your life. I was getting that image. Like my grandfather is sitting with God and watching his Netflix. And it's like God saying, see, this is what you did, like, and I feel like at the end of our life, it's like God will sit with us and say, oh, this is what you achieved. And your human form will be gone by then, like that, your light being will be so proud of it, like your soul will know. But often we tend to focus on that human side, and we relate our success to achievement, to how much Ks we have achieved, in how many minutes we have. It's always competition, competition, competition. But when you watch, like, for example, now the Paralympics are on by the time of the recording, and it's not promoted as such because there's no competition in that. If you really, it's all about, like how much human how much we are not limited in terms of our human body and how much we can do. And if you see that, like the friendliness, the understanding, like the love that's being sent their way. And that's how at the core we are, like love, like whatever we're going through, whichever role at that time, we love what we were doing, whatever we were doing. Then it's like the universe say, well, we have a better plan for you. Maybe give a gentle nudge, in that way and guide you towards that. Yeah, we say gentle. Yes.
It's funny. I had the image of like when you said gentle nudge, of a tarot. There's like the tower. I'm not familiar with tarot, but that image I am the person falling off the burning tower. I'm like, yeah, that's the gentle nudge.
What did you call it last week? Or was it the punch in the face?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's a punch in the face. I totally forgot our conversation. Yeah, transformation is powerful, like a punch in the face is powerful. Yeah. I think that sometimes people like, God bless them, they do paint the picture of like flowers and daisies, and yeah, there's aspects that it feels like that. Like feeling unconditional love, or like some people call it heartbrain coherence, or some people call it Kundalini, some people call it the Holy Spirit. There's nothing like it. That ecstasy, that spiritual ecstasy, there's nothing, nothing compares. And that's better than flowers or daisies or honey or any of it. And then there's also the part that's like, you're talking about the boulder, right? And let it roll over me. Sometimes we twist ourselves into so many knots, fighting what our soul is calling us toward. They were already squished up before that boulder comes rolling through. You know what I mean? And so, like, the more we surrender, I find the bigger we become, where the boulder looks like a pebble. Like, I'm familiar with that. All right, whatever. Keep it moving. And it goes back to what you said earlier, and like, oh, thank you for showing me who you are, to the person that was acting as a little bit of a mirror, a little bit of an annoyance from what I gather. But like, just the witnessing of that shows how much you've had your hands up, willing to receive, right? How much you stretch yourself to be able to witness that and observe that. The more we do that, I'm telling you, like the boulders feel like pebbles. And I can tell you, if I look back at pictures of myself through all the accolades and all the things that we humans love, all the labels, if I see the first picture of me, woo, I was like, I look like a ghost. It was like pallid. I looked like I needed air. It was so like the pictures compared to now, which I will tell you, I feel like I'm in another huge like shift in my life now. But I look more alive now, I think, than I even did back then. And that was maybe, when did I leave law? I think it was 11 years ago. Yeah. So, I mean, looking at pictures is it's a good, it can be hard, but it's a good testament to where you are now and what the next step needs to be, and if it's hands up in the air, ready to receive or not. But thank you for what you shared, both of you. Like, I just sat there witnessing and being preached to. Like, okay, yes, I received this. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's kind of nice that it goes both ways, right? Because we've been talking about it, that we have all these amazing, humans on the divine couch, and we actively talk up their skills and their some really cool. Some people have some very, very cool skills in their toolkit, and we've kind of worked out that we don't actively promote our own, right? That's you get in a space like this, and you're just so fascinated with what other people have been offered um in their little soul contract of before they've come on, and this is what I give you, but I'm gonna help you find your way to it. And then you go, oh, that's a really cool skill. I really like that. But it's not until someone else actively points out your own, that you go, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And if I saw it in someone else, I might think that was pretty cool too. I'm showing my age and my very lacking vernacular of how to describe something equally as successful and fantastic. But it's my teenage version of myself coming out now, who's 17 and preaching isn't that cool. But yeah, you just kind of go, oh, but I kind of have that one too, and I can kind of do that too. And you just, I think it's the unconscious competence when you get into that space of where you can actively do all of those things, but you don't even recognize that you're doing it. It's not until you talk to a younger version of yourself in the body of somebody else that you go, okay, yeah. Mama's got a fairly hefty toolkit that she wears around her waist like Bob the Builder, and can pull things out as needed, you know, like a mum's handbag. Oh, you need a snack. Oh, you need a tissue. Oh, you need a book. Oh, okay, let me help you with all of those things. So it's been an enlightening week since we had our last conversation. Of my friend's back on Reels, so he sends me all of this great fun. Have you surrendered today?
Surrender more.
Surrender more, you know. He said he'll just send me a picture of Gabby Bernstein, and I'll probably just send him a picture back and go, yes, I have. But it is an interesting journey, and we get to meet so many gorgeous humans. And I just checked out your movie bio. I hadn't done that until then. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just like, holy shit, woman. There's a lot of movies in that bio. That's impressive.
Thank
Just
you.
happened to be in the right places at the right times for people to go, oh, you look like the perfect lawyer, or you look like the perfect
No.
woman that gets murdered on the bed by Colonel Mustard with the candlestick.
That did happen. Yeah, actually. No, you know, every time you get a role, it's another job. So it's like if you show it someone your resume all the time, like these are all the jobs I've had. Like, yeah, that's every acting gig that I did. Like I have as many credits to my name as my age, which is cool considering I stepped into acting like full time 11 years ago at that time, right? Because I was practicing law before that for 8 years. And so I remember in college, this professor, they wanted me to be a journalist because all these practical tools, like writing was not a thing for me back then. I was like, you don't make a career out of being a writer. I didn't see the full picture then. I was like, that's garbage. I'm going to be a lawyer. That's what I have to be, you know? And she was really disappointed. I had to write an obituary for an actor or something. And I don't know what happened, but she came to me and said, you know, this person, they wouldn't have made it if they didn't start acting at 18. Like she had this story about like you only make it, air quotes, as an actor in Hollywood if you start very young, right? And again, maybe that's true for some people, right? When you set a rule out in this world and that is where you've seeded that idea, then that is the reality that you step into. Very cool, right? And at that time, I was like, while I was very rigid about rules, when I heard that, it bucked up against me. Something was like, no, that's not true. You don't have to be 18. Who said? Like, there was all this inner stuff happening. Meanwhile, I was very logical and very rational, right? And the arts were not a thing in my mind at the time. And I look back at those moments and God, you know, I was 29 when I stepped into an acting class. Okay, 29. And for that woman, if she would have met me, she would have told me, you're never going to quote unquote make it. But what does making it mean? What does that mean anyway, right? Does that mean A-list actors? Does that mean $2 million in my bank account, liquidity wise? What does that mean? For me, I had to keep defining success. Am I fulfilled? Am I enjoying what I'm doing? Because if I am fulfilled and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, then I'm bringing joy to others. that to me means I've made it, and I keep making it again and again. Anytime I land a role that makes me smile or brings me joy or tells a story that makes a difference, like that matters to me. When you live life with this, like, I want to live in the yumminess of this life, whatever it is you're doing, whether you're in the kitchen cooking or you are on a stage or something in between, if you're in the yumminess, that feeling of like, oh, this feels so good. This feels like me. And I'm not saying that's an easy place to get to. I'm not saying everyone gets there, but it is attainable. If it feels like you, this is when ripples happen. This is when you change the world. And sometimes changing the world is just changing your inner world, which affects your immediate world around you. And that's enough. You're not responsible for every honeycomb in the world, just your little area. That's it. And that's more than enough because a lot of people stop before they even get there. If you decide the timeline has to be according to everyone else's rules, then I wish you luck. That's your Super Mario game. I'm doing something completely different over here. So, and I hope if that calls to someone who's listening, like truly, you're listening to masters with Tina and Deva talking, and the people that you decide to bring is because you all match. There is a spiritual match. Like we're on like in the same level of that video game. Like we're ready to talk more about this to help us get to the next level, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way. That's the only way we meet. That's the only way this happens. It wouldn't work otherwise.
Yeah.
That's so true. And I feel like, if I can say, like, do you feel like every movie that you've done, like, like from the first until the end, has brought you to who you are now? Like, would you say that it has been a journey in discovering yourself?
Yeah. I mean, the last movie I did, which was a short and it was an ensemble, we're actually going to be at the Catalina Film Festival. We got nominated for Best Ensemble, which is I'm so excited about. That actually is the most, I've had the most fun when I shot that movie. And it was the most authentic to me, like the most authentic to me, almost playing myself, really. And it's funny because, like, the very first role I remember having, I think, hold on. The very, very, very first role was a commercial for Honda, a car company here. And like how I say that, like Honda's not known all over the world. Um and it wasn't me at all because I'm not really bubbly. I'm like very sarcastic and just sort of like dry humor. And I had to be not that for the Honda thing. I had a good time. And actually I own a Honda. So it's kind of like, oh, synchronistic, but like it wasn't me, but I had fun doing it. And then now I got to have fun playing roles that honor me more and honor the stories I want to tell. So there's been a trajectory. It's definitely shifted and changed. Also, there's no pressure on it. I don't have this pressure to succeed according to anyone else's idea of what that looks like. I can step on a red carpet and not be stressed out. The first time I did that, I was stressed. I didn't like it. It was like horrible feeling. I mean, it's a zoo. It's people just screaming at you while you stand there. So you can turn to the left and turn to the right and smile and hold it in and turn this way. And I don't I don't have that feeling anymore. Last time I was on a carpet, I was like having fun and it's like whatever. Like this is who I am. It's a very different energy, when you're playing a part, like we talked about that, playing love or embodying love is two different things. But yeah, thank you. That was a good question.
I do like that concept of making it. Like I still think about people like Louise Hay's a really great example. Like she didn't start Hay House until she was in her late 40s, early 50s. And it wasn't until she was in her early 90s, that it took 40 years to take off. Like it was a $17 billion company when she was no longer occupying her human suit and she decided to go off and have coffee with Wayne Dyer and the rest of them. But from a human context, like you're saying, from that logical need for success, or she ticked all of those boxes, and she ticked all of those boxes by practicing and preaching about a better, more divine understanding of yourself and the people that surround you, you know, and for all the people that still dismiss the stuff that we do as woo-woo, witchy-poo stuff, it's not, you know, like people are starting to come out and go, I want to understand myself better. And I want to understand why the same guy keeps showing up just in a different set of pants, or, you know, I keep ending up in these shitty spaces that I don't think I want to be in, but there's something about me that magnetizes them to me, or me to them. You know, what haven't I learnt yet about myself? And it's the yet part, you know, the yet part is always, I don't know how to yet, you know, I haven't reached that level of the game yet. You know, I think we all need to give ourselves a big break and just, it's okay. It's just not yet, you know, like if things haven't lined up, they're not meant to. There's still stuff that you have to take on board, you know, but it's your ability to either stand under the waterfall and get pummeled, or just act like your own umbrella and just receive it in the portions that you can comfortably deal with. If you want to get rolled over by the boulders and just try and get it all done at once, good luck to you, because you might be drowning in the tumbleweeds for quite some time. But little bit by little bit, you have these quicker, I think, dawning realizations as you go along. And just go, oh yeah, okay, I get that. Thank you. Thank you for showing me. Thank you. Right, can we move on now? Could you make the bicycle ride to work a little bit easier now? No headwind, thank you. I understand the difficulties that come with that. Thank you. Thank you for showing me that. Thank you. Thank you for showing me I can do hard things. It's all okay. It's all okay. You know, and I think that's what we all need to take away with. You're okay. You might be in the shittiest moment of your life, but you're still okay. And if you put your hand up and ask for help, there will be people that will come and give you a hand. But you're not an island unto yourself. Reach out to all of those beautiful humans that you may not even recognize are there, and they're waiting to help you. They're just looking for the sign to go, oh, she's ready now. Come on, now she's ready to play. Let's go. So
I feel when you're talking about the boulder, I have the image of the coyote. You know, I don't know if you, and the speed runner. Like you're getting, sometimes you don't have time, you know, like you place it at the wrong place, the boulder, and it's come back at you. And it's like the universe waking you up gently again in a nice way. But that's the image I'm getting, like whenever both of you were speaking about the boulder, it's only the coyote and the speedrunner that's I can imagine happening to us. And sometimes we don't have time to move. It just happened straight to our face, you know, it comes down to our face and we just say, yeah, I'm letting go. Even if you're down and you're crushed, you know, flat on the ground, that's how the feeling. But there was in that movie, oh, I forgot, Sing. It's called Sing. It's an animation movie. And in there was a scene, he says, like, when you're down, the only way is to look up and go up. That's the only way. So all you got to do is like let go and let God. That's what I feel coming back as well. But Lisann, you speak about something about you feel that you're going through a transformational shift at the moment. So can you tell us a bit more about that? Because which role are you going for now?
I think it's stepping bigger into the coaching. Just like I've been sort of, you know, when you come out of the spiritual closet, sometimes it's in phases. You're like, I'm totally out, and you're still holding the knob, and the door is just ajar. You'd be like, I'm out, but you're really just still right there, you know? Yeah, totally. Like the perspective shift. You're like, there's a whole room you need to step out of. Like, just don't hold on to the knob the whole time. And I feel like, I mean, I've thought this many times that I feel like now I'm actually like speaking to the people I know I've supported in the past and I can continue to support. And so like when I say I support multi-passionate people, these are typically people are neurodivergent. When we have multiple, interests and we pursue them all at different parts of our lives is because like I feel like we've done this video game so many times. So we're like, okay, I'm gonna run through this really quick this time, so I have all the tools now and I can do this again, you know, in a better way. And so that for me is like I support those people because I get them and they know that I get their journey. And now I'm actually sharing more about that. I'm also talking about people that have a spotlight. When you have a spotlight, you will see your shadows immediately because there's a light on you. And so if you're in it, sometimes you're afraid to look like who else sees the shadows? Oh my God, what do I do? How do I hide them? Like, and it's about actually facing them, dancing with them, inviting them in. So that way you can learn and move through that, transmute like what you do, right? Transmuting fear into love.
Yeah. And I love that you keep bringing up the dance because for me, it's
Mhm.
like dance with Shiva. So Shiva, Lord Shiva is the divine masculine in the Hindu culture. So there's a form of Shiva which we call Nataraja, which is like dance with Shiva. So it's placed in even in for science nerd out there, it's even at the Super Collider in Switzerland. So even they have the Nataraja at the front of the institute to say that it's like Lord Shiva dancing with the cosmos. So there's so much that you don't know. It goes beyond science. So even if you can go and look, because my dad he's a physics educator, so he loved bringing that picture and send it to us constantly to remind us that there's science that believe in the woo woo as well. And for people who are still like not getting the woo woo, there's that book Why Woo Woo Works by David Hamilton, and it's also Dre Dispenza recommendation. So you can go and look into why woo woo works. So I love that you keep bringing that dance. So for you, which part of the dance are you at? Do you feel that you're dancing onto?
I feel that I am dancing with the divine. I feel that every day. I feel sometimes I stop dancing and I cross my arms and I complain and then I dance again. Um, and that's normal, right? This is not about like I've transcended the human experience and now like that's bullshit, right? Like I'm in it still. I'm alive. This is real, you know? And so, I remember a year ago I'd had this I was meditating, I was at this retreat and I saw divine masculine, divine feminine, right? Aspects, one in front, one behind me. It was such a beautiful vision that I had. And they merged. And then I saw all these images of me marrying myself. I saw like a Hindu wedding, like all the orange flowers like all over me. I was someone totally different and I'd never seen that. And it was so beautiful. And I'm crying, witnessing this in my experience, different types of marriage. And then I heard divine say to me that I was being married unto myself. And I remember like just it was so beautiful. And then it evolved into me running through a forest with another aspect of the divine. Like anytime that shows up, sometimes it's a very simple, like when I say divine, like how God shows up as like Buddha or like Muhammad or like just all these different things for me. And so fast forward to like just a couple of weeks ago, my sister, she goes, I had a dream that you were marrying yourself. And we were all at the church. And I never told her about this experience that I had a year prior. And I was like, yeah, I feel it. I feel that I have. I feel that I've entered into that dance with the divine within me. Right. And so I try to remember that every day. And a lot of times I'll, like, what happened, this one client came up to me and we were talking, and I saw this vision of her on a hamster wheel, but not in the hamster wheel, on the top of the hamster wheel. Like saying, look, I'm on top of it all. I'm running in place. I've got this. I mean, she's an Emmy winner. Like she's done all these things and she's on top of a hamster fucking wheel. Okay. Talk about what we think is success. And then I saw the image morph into a dance. And the invitation was, do you want to be running on top of the hamster wheel? Or do you want to engage in this dance with the divine? Do you want to follow a step, be led and lead? Do you want to do that, be led and lead? Or do you want to run in place? And we get to choose that every day. I get to choose that also every day because I would not witness that client's experience if I wasn't familiar with what it was like to run on the top of a hamster wheel. right? And so hustle culture will dictate if you're running, you're moving, you're doing something, you're producing, you're creating something that everyone can enjoy, right? It's an energy that's static. It's ugh, I hate it, right? But a dance, what a great way to sweat, right? What a great way to move. Like there's so much yumminess and joy in that. Yeah. And so I think I'm in the dance. I think the more I tell people about my journey, the more I talk about like, yep, for sure got all these accolades, but this was because I listened to the God within me, God speaking in me and through me, working in me and through me, even though my human would combat it, push up against it. I still had to remember to throw my hands up and then wave, just move. You know what I mean? I just start dancing. So I think I'm in the dance for sure.
I just hear dance music all of a sudden, you know, like someone spinning the decks and everybody's just like, I'm like, yeah, that's a good way to be. No, that's just such good fun. So lovely, Lisann. If you had one tiny piece of advice that someone could add into their day to help them with that delicious dance with the divine, what would that be?
It would actually be to dance, to actually move. If you're capable of moving your body in any way, move it. Play some music and just flow with it. There's, you know, mystics and the professionals and the pros, and you know, you have to be able to meditate in a construction zone. The easiest way to do that is to dance. And so actually move and you'll feel it. And I mean, that's my biggest piece of advice. When all else fails, all my tools are locked at Home Depot, I just gotta dance.
Mine is normally finding that space in the shower with music on. Like the music goes on the minute I kind of roll out of bed. That's on, the shower gets turned on, and then normally all the best stuff comes when you're moving and in water and you're just allowing yourself to be and going, okay, what's today going to bring? And be okay with whatever comes, I think.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's a great reminder of dance. You know, like when you keep mentioning dance, I know my dad will love that thought where we mentioned, because my spiritual guru wrote like 3 books channeled, like he channeled. And the first one is like Dancing with Shiva. So so we have Dancing with Shiva, Living with Shiva, and Merging with Shiva. So the first one is all about dancing and being, because we believe that in the universe, everything is in that dance, is movement. It's all about movement. Nothing is static. And even on the atomic level, I don't want to get corrected by my dad because I'm pretty sure he will give me a lecture if I get this wrong. So it's like everything is vibrating, and I'm just going to stop there because I feel I'm going to get a lecture from him if I get that wrong. So I prefer to get my information right. But I know it's like even when we are seeing something like static and there's movement in the atomic level, and you can when you're dancing with like Lord Shiva or God, whatever it is you believe in, you will see everything in movement. And even when we feel that nothing is moving in our life, because we often say that, oh, yeah, nothing is happening. We are praying, doing affirmation, mirror work, you name it, like whatever it is, nothing is happening. But in the background, there's so much happening that we don't know and we are not aware. So I will leave with that, I feel. And thank you, Lisann, to come. Lisann Valentin to come. Really appreciate that.
Merci beaucoup.
And we'll leave Tina to finish in French today. She's got her French lesson on. Go for
You're
it.
hilarious. You're so hilarious. I'm still learning, and until I feel comfort in my learning, I will put it this way. Thank you so much for sharing your most precious resource, which is your time. And thank you so much to our beautiful guest for reminding us about dancing our way into the weekend, and for for the rest of your life, really. And my gorgeous co-host, the delicious drop of sunshine that you are. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. And until next week, be good, be kind, and go turn some music on and dance, shake your booty. So until then, we love you. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.